He sounds really hot, so I love that. Whew, it just got hot in here. Hello, welcome back to another vlog. I don't know why I do that with my hand. Okay. But yeah, so this is like, I'm gonna do a spoiler-free review now, and then if you've read it, or like if you just don't really care, which would really hurt, I feel like you should read it before you see, because it's spoilers, you know, it's amazing, you should read it. But yeah, so I'm gonna do like, I'll put the timestamps if I can figure out how to do that. I finished it and it was amazing. 5 stars. I think on Corpal it got like 9.57, which is like insanely high, and I think the one thing that was like a little bit lower was the writing, because there is like it gets a bit repetitive with one word in particular. I think you've probably seen it on the internet if you're looking at this book. But I won't spoil it because that's part of the fun. You can figure out which word it is and comment it down below if you think you know it. But it was so good, incredible. This was one of my most like anticipated reads of the year, books of the year, and I was scared because of that, because I think I put so much weight onto it, and then I hadn't read it like for quite a while until everyone else had read it. So then I was like, oh, you know, feeling a bit of tension, because then what if I don't love it? But I did. It was incredible. This is the first time I've read Sarah J Maas. Highly recommend, just based off of this. It was incredible. Obviously I know her other books will be a bit different because this is adult and the others are YA, and I think some of them move into new adult throughout the series from what I've heard. But yeah, so this book follows around, if you didn't know, it follows a girl called Bryce and some of her friends, and you know, her life. She's a party girl, she goes out, raves, she works at an antiquities like museum thing, acquiring like mysterious mythical objects for this woman Jesper, and she has a little fire sprite friend. She lives like a pretty good life. She seems happy, she like got people she loves. She's a bit crazy, but like she's living life. But then early on in the book, tragedy strikes, and some people close to her are killed, and she doesn't know why. No one really understands why. It's kind of, there are a lot of question marks around it, and she kind of is thrown into the midst of this. But then we jump to 2 years later and we see what her life has been like, kind of in like little, they're not flashbacks, but they're like little snippets of information from characters and conversations, which I really loved how that was done, because it didn't feel forced or like heavy. But well, obviously it felt emotional, but you know, not like kind of intrusive. It was really good. And then basically his angel turns up and one of the governors, and they're like, okay, we want your help to try and solve this because another murder's just happened. Can you know, give us a hand? So she teams up with this angel and some other people, and she's got to just go and like kind of, you explore the city almost with her, and you try and figure out what happened. There are a couple of like side mysteries as well, which made it really interesting. It is a long book, it's 800 pages, but it doesn't feel like it. Like, it was, I don't know, I never felt like there was a lag at any point, because normally if there's a book that I'm reading that's like kind of over 600 pages, there'll be a point where even for like 20 pages, even if I'm loving it, I'll kind of be like, oh, this feels a bit like unnecessary, like could you not, like could we just skip this? I had none of that with this, which was really impressive, because I get that quite a lot, I'm distracted easily. But it was just amazing, really emotional. The mental health representation in this is immaculate. Like it was really well done, really tastefully done, but also very raw, and like I connect a lot to the main character, so I can speak from my personal experience with some of the things. Obviously I don't have, you know, friends or family or whoever who have been in these situations with werewolves and fae and vampires, so it's slightly different, but like kind of similar premises that I've gone through, and I can say like the representation of what it feels like and things is so real, at least to me. Yeah, it was amazing. The romance, or like it's like there's like a lot of sexual tension in this book, between a lot of people. There's a lot of the characters are so well fleshed out, you feel like you really know them, grow to love them, and especially when you're seeing them like having to fight like the system. The politics is really good in this, really fleshed out. I've seen quite a lot of people who are saying that like they felt like the first 100 or 200 pages were quite like info dumpy, and I never felt that. I don't know, because I'm like I quite like longer books that are very like detailed, but I didn't feel like that at any point. I felt like it was so well woven in, the information about the city, that it didn't feel like forced or kind of out of place. Yeah, I did something that helped me, which I'd recommend if you're reading it, is I used these green tabs to kind of, for like important information, so that I could kind of keep track of like important moments, so that if I'm kind of like, wait, hold on, I need to like be reminded of what's happened and like what this is or what this means. But yeah, it was amazing. It was really funny. There's lots of swearing in it. So that's, you know, if that's not your thing, then still read it, because it's just swearing, who cares. Yeah, I highly recommend. And yeah, if you've read it, or if you just want to see what happens, then feel free to keep watching and see me crumble through this book, and also see me get quite hot and flushed from this book. But yeah, I'll see you. I hope you enjoy it. What's up, guys? So we are back at it, and I am so fucking excited for this video, mainly so that I can read the book. But as you've seen the title, I'm guessing you know, I'm going to be reading Crescent City. I've taken off the dust jacket already because I started reading it ahead of the video. But it's, oh yeah, it's so good. I'm a bit poorly at the moment, if you can hear, or if I look a bit dazed. So it means I can just sit in bed and read the whole thing, hopefully. So I've already started tabbing. I'm loving it. I'm on page 118. This is going to be a spoiler-filled vlog, by the way, because I just can't dance around it at the moment. Like, I have to go all out. I'm probably going to be bitching about some characters. I'm probably going to be thriving for some of the relationships. Already, I know that. So, yeah. Please cut away, come back when you've read it, if you haven't read it. So the way I've been tabbing, I've been using these washi tapes that I have, which are really cute. So I've got, hold on, let me turn you around. Excuse my gammy nail varnish. Eesh. Yeah, so basically I've got this like kind of greeny and gold like geometric one, which is for important information. So like anything, because I've heard a lot that like there's a lot of story and world building. So I was like, okay, like I'll tab anything that I think I'm gonna forget that, but I should know it. Then there's this pinky geometric goldy one, which is for relationships and anything I just find like really sweet. This one is like a bluey leaf one, and it's for anything that I find just like sad or heartbreaking. And then there's this pink one with like gemstones on it, that is for anything I find funny. I just started talking without having pressed the button. Wow. So I'll just read you a couple of like my thoughts. So I like, obviously if you've read it, like I had the whole thing, which I'm sure everyone did, and Sarah J Maas is my favourite book I've read by her, but she does that thing of like reeling you in to love these relationships and then snatching them away. She did it so well. And one of the things that I like tabbed with that like relationship vibe that I just loved, and excuse the hair because it's a situation, but was on page 53 when Bryce is texting Connor, and she says, Connor texts her, "You won't regret this. I've had a long while to figure out all the ways I'm going to spoil you, all the fun we're going to have, stalker." But she smiled. "Go enjoy yourself. I'll see you in a few days. Message me when you're home safe." She reread the conversation twice because she really was an absolute fucking loser. And it was just so cute. It was starting to ship them. It was really, I feel like it was just really real and like without being too cheesy or anything. So I loved that. And then of course she snatched Danica and Connor and their pack away. I can't remember the name of the pack, but like something like the Bloodhounds, not that. Then I've got like other important information like on page 97, which is about like Hunt's kind of past. I won't read through it all because I highlighted a lot. I've been just underlining and not full highlighting because they're Bible pages and I really don't want it to run through. And then the one sad tab I've got so far is on page 102 and 103 when she's talking about well, she's just talking to her brother, her half-brother Rune, and it says, "She grinned and knew it didn't reach her eyes. None of her smiles did these days. I do," she said sweetly. And it was just like, I feel like it was such a simple, poignant thing that like really outlined exactly how everything that happened to all her friends has affected her, because it's like the 22 months later bit. And then there was the whole thing of like the glass cracking in her hands when she, like, the mention of what happened to her friends comes up, and that was, yeah, so that was heartbreaking. So I'm gonna do some more reading and then I'll come back at you when I have more thoughts. Yeah, I'm excited. I love Hunt. He is one sexy motherfucker. I also like that he's kind of like a compassionate person. Like when he's doing an interview with originally after the incident with Bryce, he's like, he says things like turn off the video, so he's not just like some bad boy arsehat, which I really appreciate, because I feel like I hear a lot that like Sarah J Maas's characters, especially the men, are kind of, they're quite repetitive, but at least if they're kind of okay people then it's not too bad. But he sounds really hot, so I love that. Bryce is awesome. I love her character, although my dyslexia keeps reading her name as Bruce because I study Russian, and in Russian U looks like a Y, so I keep seeing it be like Bruce. But yeah, I'm loving it, and I'll come back at you guys when I've read some more. So I just read for an hour and a half. I'm now up to page 164, I think, yeah, and it's, oh my god, so we've just learned some major drama. So we've had the whole thing with Hunt and Isaiah going to see Jesper and Bryce. Why do I always forget her name? But yeah, and we met Micah, and oh my god, he is one hot piece of ass by the sounds of it. One of the things I noted was when he first came in and like looked at Bryce, and it says, Micah Domitus's brown eyes devoured her. His power pressed against her skin, ripped the air from the room. Her lungs filled the space with midnight storms, sex and death entwined. I was like, oh, where is this man, please? I would like him now. Yeah, and then we kind of just had a bit of like, a bit more of Hunt's background, a bit of like a chitter chatter, and then we got to learn a bit more about Rune and Bryce's background and their father. And actually this chapter 14 was like full of like quite a lot of interesting information about the way that the world works, and obviously like from what I've heard, this whole like the first like 300 pages I think is quite a lot of world building, and some people found it quite like dense and hard to get through, but I'm like really loving it. She's written it in such a good way that there are so many characters to learn about, and the world's so intricate that I feel like I'm so interested that I don't feel bored by it. But then at the end of chapter 14 there was some major tea. Sip. And so Rune left the study and he just had this like blow up with his dad, and he said, didn't say it, he thought it. At least the arsehole didn't know that he'd lied about what the oracle had told him all those decades ago. With every step out of his father's villa, Rune could once more hear the oracle's unearthly whispering, reading the smoke while he trembled in her dim marble chamber. The royal bloodline shall end with you, Prince. So like there's this whole tea with his dad, got to learn a lot more about the Fae and stuff, and there's this whole drama with the cup that we heard mentioned a while ago. I can't remember. I think Bryce was looking for it at some point. Is the, oh no, not the cup, the lunar horn. And I didn't know that it went missing. We just found out that it went missing 2 years ago, which is the same time frame when Danica and the like demon came up and killed all those people. So this is like linking back to the murder of Matthias Tiberian or whatever his name is recently. So there's a lot going on, a lot of tea. drama. I'm loving the story. I'm loving like just the way it's written. It's like really fun to read, and I don't find myself getting bored. I quite like, sometimes I have to like reread a couple of bits just because like it is a lot of like dense world building, but it's so interesting that it's worth it. So yeah, I'm gonna have a little break and then I'll read some more and I'll tell you what I think. Right, so it's several days later. I don't even want to count how many. I haven't done that much reading, but I'm now on page 296, and we've gone through a lot so far. We've also seen like a lot of my tabs recently have been sad things that are like her memories and like portrayals of like her stress that she's acquired from like everything that she saw the night that Danica and the pack of devils were murdered. It's been really interesting though. It's still so like well written, the world's so well fleshed out. It's also perfect for October, like giving me those spooky vibes when they're walking down the town and stuff, and like she's talking about seeing the witches and the angels flying above them, and it's perfect. I love it. But there's also the last chapter. There was like an explosion at the club, and it was really like clearly it like jostled her and brought back a lot. There was also someone who was murdered, another person. So there's a lot that's happened in the last few chapters, which I'm glad about because it's like keeping me on my toes. It's not like churning out the same, like just going to the same places to like solve the mystery. It's not linear, if that makes sense. But after that we really saw her and Hunt like become a lot closer, and there was a lot of like heart to heart moments, and just like they're so cute, and like they're really showing like a healthy relationship. Obviously it's still like blossoming, and it's not in a way that's like completely unrealistic and you're reading it and you're like, that wouldn't happen though. No, it's great. I love the characters, love everything. There are a lot more like mysteries. I'm really interested in what's happening with the horn. I've read a couple more chapters, and like quite a bit's happened, like a lot more of like political world, and I can't stress enough how much I respect how like well-rounded the political world is, in that you see it from all aspects and not just like, I think sometimes it can be like a bit monotone, but in this you get to see like the characters actually fighting for what's kind of right, and you can see a lot of parallels, like obviously quite loosely because we don't have vampires in our society, but like it's really interesting to see that, and I'm just loving the tech aspect. And also I've been picking up that there are loads of like Greek kind of mythology inspired things in this. So like names, like Hunt's birth name is Orion, and obviously Orion, like Orion's belt and the whole legend. But then also he just went to see the oracle, obviously the Oracle of Delphi, or there was so many oracles. But like the way she does it, where it's like vapors coming up from the ground, it's exactly like they did it in, you know, the times of ancientness. There were also like more moments of like really just like empowering things. So on page 316, Bryce said they were talking about basically they were talking about I can't remember his name, Micah, the archangel, and he basically asked her to go to dinner with him, and she was talking to Hunt about it afterwards and saying like why she wasn't interested. And then they were discussing it, and he said, "Are you sure it's not because you're just avoiding?" And then she cuts him off. "See, that right there is the problem. You and the whole rest of the world seem to think I exist just to find someone like him. That of course I can't be genuinely not interested, because why wouldn't I want a big strong male to protect me? Surely if I'm pretty and single, the second any powerful veneer shows interest, I'm bound to drop my panties. In fact, I didn't even have a life until he showed up. Never had good sex, never felt alive." And then like they just have, but like she just had that moment and it didn't cause a fight or anything. He didn't get like arsey with her. They have like it seems like a really healthy relationship, especially like in spite of everything they've gone through. Like they've been put through the fucking ringer. But like, and whenever we get to like home scenes where like it's her, Hunt, and Syrinx and Lehba, I love Lit Hubbard. So she's awesome. She's really cool, and I love like her and her reality TV. But like I'm just like they're a little family, and just like so cute. But yeah, it's really like as soon as I start reading, I'm like in, and there's so much to like do. There have been a couple of like typos though, or like words that are missing from a sentence that like don't like just like little words like is or to, and that's been irritating me a little bit. It's only happened like twice, I think, throughout like 300 pages, which was pretty good. But it's also like, she's such a big author, I thought that maybe the editors would have picked up on it more. There'd be more like attention paid to things like that. But her writing's incredible. I love her characters. I love the emotional depth you get to see. Like you really feel like you know them and like live for them. Obviously this is my first time reading her books, so I can't like compare to other characters she's made to know if she's kind of recycling tropes, but I love it, and I think it's a really wicked world, and I think everyone should read it. But yeah, so I'm gonna read some more. Whew, it just got hot in here. So I just read chapter 36. Oh my god, that shit was sexy. Like when they're at the the shooting range, and like she shoots and she's holding the gun, it's the description of how he's like, it's almost like she's holding his cock, and I was like, oh my god, because I'd heard that there was really good sexual tension in this book, but like up until now I'd kind of been like, oh, like no, I don't really see it. Like no, like you hear her, you know, talking about in the club when she's like talking about how she'd had her legs wrapped around the line, but I was like, you know, that's beginner shit. But then that scene happened and I was sat here like, I was trembling, and I'm not even a part of it. I'm just so excited for them, and there's like so much respect between them, which makes it even more sexy, and I can't, yeah, I'm gonna keep reading. But chapter 36, I think that's my favourite chapter. So, I have no idea when the last time I updated you guys was. I mean, it was like weeks ago. I haven't really read much until now. I'm back into it now. It wasn't the book, it was me. I had a lot going on in my life. I just wasn't like able to read physically, and I wasn't mentally there. But I wanted to check in. So I'm now on page 505 or something of it, and it's just like everything's so amazing. Like the characters are so beautiful, and the relationships are so healthy, and like the way that Hunt and Bryce like interact and like look after each other, it's so important to have that representation. And like it's kind of crazy that especially in like fantasy you don't really get that quite a lot. Like a lot of days there's like you know, you get the classic like bad boy or whatever, like people have damage and it means that they can't communicate properly, or like within romance, you know, when you get all those tropes that are like miscommunications that cause all this chaos and mayhem. I hate that trope so much, because like just tell each other and this wouldn't have happened. Anyway, detour. But yeah, so I love their relationship. We've just had the scene where Hunt's come home from having to kill some people for Micah again, and Bryce has seen him when he's like covered, his arm is covered in blood, and she found him in the shower like with the water like boiling hot and like burning his skin, and then his body healing, and it just kept like burning and healing, and she like found him and helped him wash and like put him to bed and things, and it was just like, it was so tender and like real. And yeah, the mental health rep in this book is I think it's the best I've ever read. It really, like, especially at the moment, it's really like hitting me, and it's really helping me because it's making me feel quite seen, because a lot of the symptoms or the feelings and the thoughts that Bryce in particular is going through are like really, I can relate to a lot. It's really well done without feeling forced, tacky, or like tokenized. It's just amazing, and I think it is one of my favorite books now, and I'm just loving it. The story's amazing, the plot twists are great, the sexual tension, like, girl, I've heard stuff about Sarah J Maas's sexual tension, but I keep like feeling myself getting a little hot as I'm reading. But yeah, I'm loving it so much. I think I'm gonna fly through it, hopefully. I want to finish it soon because it's like now the 19th of October, and this has like been the only thing I've been reading in October. So other than I read Paper Girls the other day, volume 2, so, you know, graphic novel counts. But yeah, so I'd like to know what happens, and I'm so like invested, so hopefully I'm a bit more like, my brain's a bit more there for it. But I'm just loving it, and I've been thinking about it, and I want to do some, if I get brave enough, to do some like art on the cover of the front and the back of the hardcover. Obviously not on the book sleeve, the you know what I mean, because that's beautiful, and I don't want to risk ruining that. And also, this way, if I mess it up when I mess it up, then the cover can hide it when it's terrible. But I'd love to do like Leherba on the front, because I love her, I think she's one of my favourite characters. And then I don't know who on the back, maybe like Danica's jacket that's like through love is all that's possible. But yeah, no, it's amazing. Go pick it up. Like, I'm guessing you have, because I wouldn't want you to be watching this if you haven't, because there's loads of spoilers. But pick it up again, because it's great. Just remember it's amazing. If you didn't like it, reread it, because you were wrong. I'm kidding. But yeah, so I'm gonna go. Right. So I just filmed the whole clip, and it turns out I'd taken a photo rather than press record. She's a genius. So take 2. Yeah, so I'm up to page 620, the sexy scene. Sarah J Maas is a wizard. It's like that thing they always say about how why guys in books are always so good. It's because women write them most of the time. Yeah, so it was just like, it was amazing. I reread it basically as soon as I'd finished it, because I was like, I just have to check that all happened, you know, just make sure I didn't miss anything, you know, for clerical reasons, not for enjoyment. But yeah, so now I want my own personal hunt, which, you know, started getting like a load of plot twists. The speed's like really picked up, although I've never felt like it was particularly slow personally. But the whole thing with Micah finding out that Hunt was, and Bryce obviously finding out that Hunt was behind the drug thing, and that Danica had killed herself, like, through the drugs. But I kind of saw that coming, the Danica thing. But the whole Hunt thing, like, it's thrown a massive curveball into it. I saw a TikTok the other day that was like, the last 200 pages are just insane, and I can see that because, yeah, it's mental. It's so good. I'm already desperate for the second one and I'll have to wait a year. So I'm a bit worried about a book hangover, but I'm feeling more in the reading zone and I'm excited. And I'm hoping, I wouldn't be surprised if I finished it in like a couple more sittings, which is fast for me because I'm quite a slow reader and I get tired easily. Old lady. And I put up some Halloween decorations, which I'll show you guys quickly. But yeah, so this is the kind of sanctuary I've created. So I put up these like paper banner things, which I can't remember where they're from, but I'll put it on the screen, I think, and I'll link it down below. And the like little tea lights, which have cobwebs on, which is so cute. And then around here, these little, you can't really tell from here, but they're like tiny pumpkins with like paint splatters on, and they're like glass. They're really cute. There were 6 of them in the box, but I just feel like my room's like so like moody now and I'm ready for it. And I normally have like an ASMR thing on here, but I'm finishing Eve Bennett's vlog because I love her videos. But yeah, so the lights are from Lights for Fun and they're so sick, like they're awesome. I'll link them down below because they're really cool. My grandma got them and yeah, great find. I'd highly recommend. But yeah, so I'm gonna get reading. So I finished it. I read it last night and I finished the last like 120 pages or something, and I just couldn't stop. It was so good. Yeah, I think this might be my favourite book, like up there with Of Mice and Men, which is my other favourite book. But this was just, it was just amazing, and like it lived up to, I think the thing that really impressed me was I knew I went in with really high expectations because I really hyped it up, which I was really concerned about because I don't know about you guys, but when I get up to that level of like excitement, you can't bring me down. So it was amazing. Like that's a lot of tabs for me, and like these purpley ones are moments that were just like I loved, and there are loads of them. It was incredible. The ending, I'm so excited for the next one. I need it right now, please, thank you. Yeah, I need an IV of it. I need, oh my god, the relationships and the ending when Danica comes to help Bryce when she makes the drop, and then it turns out she's done it like by herself, and then like the scenes with her and Hunt and like, and Lehba. God, it's too soon to talk about Lehba. I got teary-eyed twice, like not full-on crying, but teary-eyed is like impressive for me, especially from a book. And yeah, so I got teary-eyed when Lehba sacrificed herself and all the angels put their hands on their hearts. I was like, oh my god. And then I got teary-eyed when Hunt was saying to Bryce, I heard what you said, come back you cow, and say it to my face. And it was just so cute. And the thing with the text when she said to Connor on page 797, Bryce's eyes stung as she smiled softly, then read through Connor's last words to her. Message me when you're home safe. Bryce began typing. The answer it had taken her 2 years nearly to the day to write. I'm home. She sent the message into the ether, willed it to find its way across the gilded river to the misty isle beyond. It's just like, it's so good. Yeah, amazing. And I'm so excited to read her other books. Definitely a Sarah J Maas stan. I know that's a bit difficult to say like after one book, but I have to be because damn. Also, I saw on the internet that she's already handed in the second one, and apparently it's like really filthy, and I'm like, yes. And it was just, and like, not Shahas, I always forget, Sandriel got her due. Like when he turned up and they were saying they could see like the ragged edges around her neck and tell that he just ripped her head off. I was like, that bitch had it coming. And Micah, when Bryce has to hoover up his ashes, oh, it was just amazing. It was everything. I love it. I can't like not. And it's weird, so I'm not a big rereader of books, but like even ones I love, I think it's like a paranoid thing, like I don't want to like reread it and then it not to be as good as I remember. And also like if I already know how it ends, then I kind of, you know, unless I've forgotten how it ends, then it's not as interesting. But so much happens in this that I could see myself rereading it, and as soon as I'd finished I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go again. Can we just re-go? Yeah. And also it didn't feel like 800 pages, like not in a bad way, in a really good way. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm reading a longer book, I quite often, like even if it's really good, I have a moment where I'm like even just for 20 pages where I'm like, oh, this feels a bit unnecessary. There was nothing like that in here. It didn't feel too heavy either, like there was too much action. It just felt perfect. Like, it was amazing. The hype is deserved, and yeah, it's really exciting. I want to, if I get brave enough, I'll definitely like put a lot of planning into it and sketching and stuff, but I'd love to do like a painting of Libby, just like on the front here, little homage to her. And then on the back I was thinking about putting like the words that are on Danica's jacket, through love all is possible. So sweet. Just like, oh, it's just amazing. I love it. I've literally, as soon as I finished it, I was just looking at Crescent City fan art and merch and like blankets and stuff, so yeah, it's amazing. Love it. Amazing. Definitely read it. Go read it now, please. Thank you. But yeah, so it was nice to see you guys. I'm sorry if this is a bit like late, a bit long time coming, but oh, so good, so worth it. Go pick it up. I think the paperback's coming out in March, but oh, everything. Yeah, I hope you guys are doing well, and I'll see you when I see you next week. Bye.